4 films deep and we still haven't gotten our promised Jurassic World film, but hey, Jurassic Suburbs will do for now. Hey guys, I'm Jax, and this is my spoiler-free and spoiler review for the new dinosaur action-adventure film, The End of Oak Street. The premise is simple. A beautiful 80s Spielbergian suburb is transported back in time to dino times, and they have to survive all kinds of dinosaurs. And yes, these dinosaurs have feathers. Still unsure how I feel about that. Kind of a little bit of a traditionalist when it comes to dinosaurs. I'm not saying I hate feathered dinosaurs, but I kind of do think that scientists should have maybe just shut the fuck up about their discoveries and let me enjoy my big lizard movies rather than now having to enjoy my big chicken movies. But hey, that's a me problem. Apart from that, I thought this was utterly delightful and kind of spectacular and surprisingly horrific and brutal, but yeah, just charming and fun and thrilling and all the things you'd want in a dinosaur film with the emotion and the heart from the family, with rich characters, which is something that we have been sorely missing in the Jurassic World franchise, and that's coming from someone who actually likes Fallen Kingdom more than anybody else in the entire world. This is the best dinosaur film we've gotten since Fallen Kingdom, and if you're one of those 7.9 billion people who doesn't love that movie, yeah, this is probably the best dinosaur film we've gotten for a very long time. I'd be tempted to say 65 million years ago, but probably more realistically like 25 years. As a man who loves dinosaurs and admittedly does like the Jurassic franchise more than most, it is really delightful and just wonderful to finally see that the Jurassic franchise doesn't have like a monopoly, a stranglehold on big budget dinosaur films that are family friendly, but with all that action adventure that you kind of want from these creatures. It's just beautiful to see dinosaurs running amok and it not be in that universe. Even if the main theme still does apparently need to be the exact same, in that it is all about divorce, broken families, and the power of the nuclear family. Not really sure what's going on there. I guess it's like disaster films and you've just got to have the divorced dad protect the kids. Like it's just, if you're writing that script, Hollywood's like, I love all of this. That whole main character thing though, why isn't it the same as every other disaster film? Apparently it's just a Hollywood thing. If you have a T-Rex in your movie, your family must also be broken as fuck at the start of the film and then end up... Spoilers? If this is your first film ever, not so broken. I think the main thing that really struck out to me almost immediately is just how beautiful and rich and kind of lived in the setting feels. The suburbs are all real. I suppose that shouldn't be something that I'm so like surprised about. It's like they just went to some suburbs and like filmed some houses, but it feels really real. Even if some of the CGI probably doesn't look as good as the Jurassic World films, it's the way that they're kind of interacting with the suburbs, with the houses, and just kind of the way it all kind of fits together just creates this really exciting, like powerful, emotional, kind of visceral experience as you can just really imagine it happening. Even if you don't live in the suburbs, everyone's aware of, driven around and kind of dealt with these kind of neighborhoods in some way. And so the way the dinosaurs are just kind of in these environments, I just thought was really clever. There's some really fun cinematography. There's a great varied amount of dinosaurs doing a whole bunch of dino murder. Mostly dino murder. One of the big things outside of how rich the world feels, how amazing the characters are, and how complex and powerful they are as just like really strong, at times stereotypical archetypes, but just presented really powerfully with great acting, is that the dinosaurs are so fucking savage in this movie. They are so brutal and cruel and just devastatingly mean. There are some shockingly brutal moments in this movie, and like it's not gory, it's not blood-soaked, but it feels a lot more kind of intense and brutal than your Jurassic Worlds, even when it is the same thing of just a big mouth eating a guy and you don't see that much blood and gore or anything, but just the way it's presented feels really intense and savage in a way I was just absolutely not expecting. I was expecting more of a PG, light, family-friendly film, and whilst it does have all those vibes, very Spielbergian, there's kids riding bicycles and all that stuff. Suburbs, 80s, there's a great family dynamic, and it's all broken, and then maybe it gets slightly less broken at the end. All Spielberg hallmarks, and of course, Jurassic Park, Spielberg's dinosaurs, all that stuff. But it has this kind of really brutal kind of streak through it that I just found really fascinating, because it's able to jump from really kind of fun, action-adventure dinosaur stuff to really brutal, savage cruelty, and then it kind of spins back around. It's like, hey, we're having fun. Aren't dinosaurs fun? And then the next moment, it's like, dinosaurs are actually really fucked up, and they're actually just really big animals. Like, you wouldn't laugh if a lion ate your face off, would you? And then it's like, dinosaurs, right? Pretty cool. Somehow that tonal balance doesn't feel jarring or confusing or messy. It's like perfectly balanced throughout the film, where there's spooky scenes, there's fun scenes, there's thrills, there's laughs. It's kind of just does everything. And I was just kind of impressed by that. And I think it is carried down together by the family and their performances, particularly Anne Hathaway. So we're getting a lot of talk about how this year is exclusively Zendaya, Tom Holland, and Robert Pattinson. And they are just in every single movie. But like, this is now the third, it might even be the fourth, because I haven't seen all the movies. This is the third amazing performance from Anne Hathaway this year. And she's just like killing it. She's just killing it. She's so good in this movie. She somehow outshines my main man, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And not to say he's bad, not to say he's not like fantastic. He's always God tier. He's amazing as always. But she really does carry the film. She just gives such an electric, kind of varied performance. She is the heart, the soul, and also the badass warrior mom that kind of just carries the whole film on her shoulders emotionally. This film does take a little bit to kind of get going into the dinosaur action, but I really appreciated that, because I think that first 20-30 minutes really sets up the characters fantastically. There's like a line like right at the start, and I'm like, oh, geez, that is clumsy and jarring. And then like 20 seconds later, I'm like, oh, no, sorry. I see what's happening there. You're pretending that's that, and then immediately going, peek behind the curtain, here's what the family's actually like. And it's so good, and you know exactly where the film's going until you absolutely don't. But it's such a satisfying kind of character arc. And I will say, and I'll get to this in spoilers, but the third act, especially in the last like 20 minutes, takes a massive swing. Well, two massive swings. I think the first one will shock everybody. The second one will be extremely divisive. The dinosaurs are all fantastic, very, very good, but the best creature in this movie, an absolute shout out to this motherfucker, because he's disgusting. There is a giant, like, makes an anaconda look like a little baby snake you'd eat from the little Allen's Lolly snake pack. And he's this giant albino snake monster. And just the way he slithers and slimes about made me so upset. He's essentially only in 2 moments, and it's so fucking gross and horrific and genuinely scary. Like, it upset me so very much. And that was probably one of the best interactions of like a creature and a house or whatever. And I just thought it was so gross and slimy and just fucked. So yeah, shout out to that big albino snake man, because disgusting. The only thing I can think of that we get more of in this film than dino murder is split diopter shots. Oh boy, I hope you like split diopter shots, because if you don't, well, I hope you like dinosaurs. Oh, also just a warning, if you love dogs and cannot stand seeing them in any form of danger, yeah, there's a dog in this film, and he's a gorgeous, beautiful beast, but oh boy, does that dog love to just like bark at the giant feathered lizards. And it's, yeah, there's some real like upped tension whenever the dog is on screen. They really milk that for all it's worth. The premise itself is, of course, absolutely nonsense, but it doesn't even really try to explain it. There's like a 2-minute exposition scene where they're like, I think this is happening, something science. And it's like, okay, you really didn't even need to do this, but it's kind of funny you did. And I appreciate how very short this scene is, because it knows we're just here to see dino action in the 80s suburbs. And it's got all the Spielbergian vibes and the thrills, the chills, and all of the thingies. I do think, though, that because at the start, before the action really kicks off, it really nails the idea of the suburb as a whole. And if you know the vague premise of the whole suburb's going to be transported back in time, you're kind of like, oh, cool, we're setting up all of these pieces. And I do think one critique I would have about like the back end is that it kind of loses sight of the suburbs as a whole with all these different other characters. Like, yeah, they're still in it and they get their little moments, but they feel really rushed and brief moments as it really starts to focus in on the family. And all that family stuff works really well, but there's just a few kind of things where like it kind of comes back up into play with all these other characters, and it really does feel like they're just trying to tick off the boxes rather than them all naturally coming back into play as major focuses in the back half. And I just think that's a massive, rushed, strange, missed opportunity. And I understand they really want to focus in on the main characters, but I think the way those characters interacted with everybody at the start, there was something more interesting to be done, at least for maybe 15 minutes in that back half. But I'll shut up about all that lame plot and whatever, because oh boy, there were dinosaurs. Oh boy, were the dinosaurs. If you're a guy who likes just seeing how many different dinosaurs they'll put in a movie and how many weird, strange ones, we're like, that's actually not a velociraptor, that's actually a fucking whatever. Or like, oh, you think that's a pterodactyl? That's not even a cousin to a pterodactyl. That's a... Insert a very long, hard to say word here. Because yeah, oh boy, there were so many dinosaurs like at different points where I'm like, what even is that? Have I literally never seen that dinosaur in a movie before? I love it! The ending of the film is going to be extremely divisive, and even though I did love it, I have so many questions about the logic of it, but it was the kind of final dinosaur tooth in the jugular that I needed to kind of tie this movie together emotionally. Overall, it's no Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but it's alright. 4.5 stars. Okay, spoilers. And truly, I do mean spoilers. There's actually stuff in the movie that can be spoiled. It feels like a film that won't have anything that can be like truly spoiled, unless the idea that there are dinosaurs in this dinosaur movie is a spoiler. But yeah, so 3, 2, 1, spoilers. They kill Ewan McGregor. Obi-Wan Kenobi just straight up gets fucking eaten by a dinosaur. And it truly shocked me. Like, when it first happens and he bites his foot off, and like, at first I didn't even realize. I thought it just kind of grabbed him by the shoe or whatever, and it would be a classic kind of PG violent moment where you're kind of like, oh my god, oh, but like he's not actually. But then like his whole foot is just ripped off and it's just blood everywhere, and I'm like, oh my god, he's been befooted. He's like doesn't have a foot anymore. That's a crazy thing to do to the main oh my fucking god, he died. And usually, I kind of love when a movie pulls a big old Game of Thrones and just kills someone like that. And it just creates stakes out of nowhere. Because, like, whilst it's thrilling and exciting and kind of, it's filled with tension and I'm like on the edge of my seat. Because dinosaurs are cool and the cinematography and the tension and the pacing and just the structure of it all is fantastic. It's great filmmaking. So there's a lot of tension, even though in my heart I know no one's going to die. So when they actually kill someone, or at least, sorry, none of the main, like, 4 characters, the family. I know side characters, of course, will die. But, like, to actually kill the dad like that, I often love that. But in this case, it kind of just made me really sad. Because the whole setup is that this family is, like, super broken. They're probably going to get a divorce. And so they're kind of patching up their marriage and their family throughout the film. And that's the whole kind of theme and message of the film. And like, that's the heart and soul of the film, is that these guys were broken at the start and they will be healed together as a family. So with everyone else in the town dying and like, it's like really killing everybody in the town. Like the other girl, her whole family dies, so it's just her. So they brought in like an adopted kid into it all, and essentially, or whatever. And I just want to have the whole family, like mum, dad, 2 kids. I want them to survive together. Otherwise, it doesn't really feel like a win, because it's like I'm not watching like some kind of brutal, intense, horrific movie, a Game of Thrones, where you're like, well, there's got to be casualties for there to be weight and stakes. It's like I'm kind of watching a Spielbergian film, like you don't watch E.T. and it ends with them all kind of. I mean, oh, that's a sad ending, but like the stakes aren't lost because they don't kill Drew Barrymore, the 6-year-old kid, you know? Like, it's just not that type of movie. I want everyone to survive. And so I was just kind of like, oh, this is like the one time where I'm like, I really don't love the idea of killing the dad. It's just sad. And it's made me feel kind of sad. And the rest of the film, like, it goes pretty quickly to get to the end. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like still on board. But like, they're going to get home and they're just going to be like really sad forever. And it's like, I kind of find that pretty depressing. In a way where I just didn't want to feel depressed at the end. And then when they come back and they're like, what's going on? This the random time traveling, whatever plot mechanics or whatever. The town's still there. How is our suburb town still there? And I didn't really pick up exactly what that meant, because at one point they're like, are they still down there? And I'm like, oh, they're going to have like a final phone call with the dad, because like, due to time travel-y, wimey, whatever, they're not going to be able to like save him because they're too far away, 20 minutes away or whatever. But then she's like, I've just got to make one call. But then when we don't hear the call, it suddenly like dawned on me. I'm like, oh, she's going to order a pizza. The pizza job she was so ashamed of him having. And honestly, that just brought me so much joy and so much just warm-hearted feelings. And I just... yeah, just fuzzy feelings all over of just kind of like, fuck, man, that hits you in the heart real good. I just loved it. I can totally see people thinking it makes no fucking sense, because I do question the logic of it, which I'll get to in a second. But just the idea of like that car coming over and you see the silly little Pizza Hut fucking top, and he's just like, what are you guys all doing here? And they're all just like, oh, we love you, Dad. It brought happy, wet eyes to my face. I was just like, that's good stuff. That's what these kind of films are all about. Just making me feel real nice. And I just think, usually, killing a character, I'd be like, I like that there's now real stakes. Bringing back a character due to very illogical time travel that I have a lot of questions about, very dumb, cheap, and lazy. But sometimes when you just watch a film, it doesn't really matter about the logic of it. It's more about just the emotions you feel and how it carries you through them. And I just found this to be the perfect sense of like, I was like really down, like the family would be. And then, I don't know, man, they fucking just get to have their happy ending. And it was just sweet and beautiful and nice. I don't really understand how the logic of it works, because like, have they stolen that dad from that family? And is that family now stuck in Dino past, like in the Jurassic period or whatever, 65 million years ago? And are they stuck alone? And they went through all of that alone without the dad. But then do they all come back and do it again? Because why would they do it again? Because the dad wouldn't be there to do that, I think. Like, I don't think it makes sense. Like, in terms of timey-wimey, nonsensey, whatever, is there two split universes now? Because they're kind of like, hey, we'll probably just be down there. And they would be down there. But then they get transported back in time. It still all happens. But they save the dad, but it's a different dad. So I don't really... Like, emotionally, I was like, that's so good. Logically, I don't think it works. And I think what they're trying to go for is that, like, well, if the dad's not there, just the whole family went. The family did the whole thing, and they come back, and it's like a loop. But that doesn't work, because the family we see didn't do it all by themselves. They saved Anne Hathaway saves the dad by calling because he died. But if it wasn't with them, he couldn't have died. And so is it that there's just like another version of the family 65 million years ago, but without the dad? And they're just living a Ewan McGregor-less family time in dinosaur lands and presumably getting eaten and killed because they were going to run out of food, so they either starve to death or get eaten by a dinosaur or whatever. So that's kind of strange and not as happy ending as it kind of presents itself as. I don't know. I guess the only way you can look at it as a perfect happy ending is that they do go back in time, but then they come back to the normal time, but it's just those three, and that works somehow, even though they're not the same person. I don't know. Maybe I'm underthinking it. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Emotionally, as I said, it fucking landed for me real hard. As soon as I realized she's calling for a pizza, and he doesn't even realize he's getting saved as he drives out, I'm like, I just love that. Because she didn't like the pizza job, but now she does! Just real simple, beautiful, nice stuff. But it doesn't make any sense, I think. Or maybe it does. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Does it make sense? In a lot of ways, who cares? Dinosaur movies aren't known for their accuracies. Neither are time travel films, if we're being honest. So it's pretty funny to get a dinosaur time travel movie that makes no sense at the end, but gives you what you want. Unless you didn't want that and you felt it was completely contrived and lazy and cheap and undermined the incredible Game of Thrones style death halfway through the movie. Well, right at the end of the movie, whatever. I am very curious how divisive it's going to be. I'm really just presuming it's going to be divisive because I can see a world where I fucking hate that. But I loved it. Even though as I say it, I'm like, I can't believe I loved that. I loved it so much. It really tied the film together. I was like, I'm loving this. But I'm not like loving this. Like, I'm loving this because it's dinosaurs. And it's a great film. But like, yeah, it needed that final emotional beat for me to just go, yes. And it did. Despite it being very stupid and very dumb. But hey, as a man who is very stupid and very dumb, I can't really be too mad at that. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I would love to know what you guys all think of Jurassic Suburbs. Big yays, big nays, or for the first time on the internet, a nuanced opinion.